Have you ever noticed how your throat tightens up when you're about to cry? It's as if your body is trying to hold back the emotions, but why does this happen? Let's dive into the science behind this phenomenon. When we experience strong emotions like sadness, grief, or frustration, our brain's emotional centers light up. This triggers the release of stress hormones like adrenocorticotropic hormone and cortisol. These hormones trigger a cascade of physiological responses, including the contraction of muscles in the throat and neck. How these hormones contribute to the sensation of a lump in our throat. The brain's emotional centers, such as the amygdala and hypothalamus, detect emotional distress and release adrenocorticotropic hormone, which stimulate the adrenal glands to produce cortisol and other glucocorticoids. Cortisol floods the bloodstream, triggering a range of physiological responses including muscle contraction, vasoconstriction, neurotransmitter modulation, parasympathetic activation, and tear production. How cortisol trigger these responses? Cortisol stimulates the contraction of skeletal muscles, including those in the throat and neck. The sternocleidomastoid and scalene muscles tighten, constricting the airway and producing the sensation of a lump in the throat. It also causes the blood vessels to constrict, reducing blood flow to the throat and neck muscles. This decreased blood flow contributes to the sensation of tightness and constriction. Cortisol also influences neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters are chemical messengers that transmit signals between neurons. Cortisol influences these hormones like serotonin, dopamine, and acetylcholine, which play crucial roles in regulating emotional responses, muscle tone, and respiratory function. How cortisol affect neurotransmitters? When cortisol is released into blood, it reduces serotonin levels by inhibiting its production and increasing its degradation. Lower serotonin levels contribute to anxiety, depression, and mood instability. It also desensitizes serotonin receptors, making them less responsive to serotonin. Dopamine levels also decreases due to the inhibition of its release and increasing its reuptake. Lower dopamine levels contribute to decreased motivation, pleasure, and reward processing. Cortisol also affects dopamine receptor density and function, leading to impaired motor control and reward processing. Acetylcholine levels is decreased by the inhibition of its release and also increased degradation. Lower acetylcholine levels contribute to impaired muscle tone, leading to muscle weakness and fatigue. Cortisol also affects acetylcholine receptor function, leading to impaired respiratory function and bronchodilation. The parasympathetic nervous system, responsible for promoting relaxation and reducing stress, is suppressed by cortisol. This allows the sympathetic nervous system to dominate, leading to increased muscle tension and respiratory changes. At the same time, the lacrimal gland in our eyes, stimulated by emotional distress, produces excess tears. The combination of tightened throat muscles and tear production creates the sensation of a lump in our throat. Why our airways constrict in emotional distress? In the context of the fight or flight or emotional distress, constricting airways serves several purposes, including conserving energy by reducing unnecessary breathing, enhancing vocalizations, to shout out loud for help, increasing alertness and focus, preparing the body for physical confrontation. Why do we try to hold back our tears? It's often due to social and cultural conditioning, where we're taught that crying is a sign of weakness or vulnerability. But suppressing emotions can have negative effects on our mental and physical health. By acknowledging and allowing ourselves to express our emotions, we can reduce stress and promote emotional release. So the next time you feel the urge to cry, remember that it's a natural response, and letting go can be incredibly liberating. Let's summarize what we have learned today. When we are about to cry, we feel a lump in our throat. This is how it happens. It is a complex interplay of hormones and neurotransmitters that causes muscle contraction, vasoconstriction, and tear production. Collectively, these responses cause the physical sensation of a lump in our throat when we're emotionally overwhelmed. This response is an evolutionary leftover from our ancestors, who needed to constrict their airways to protect themselves from danger. Today it serves as a physical manifestation of our emotional state, reminding us to acknowledge and address our emotional needs. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more content like this.